We good? Can you hear?
We're good.
Good deal. Just wanted to make sure. Well, first things first, I'd actually like to start off by saying thank you for putting this together. This is almost like a dream come true. This is kind of like right up my alley of, you know,
Oh yeah, I get it, man. I mean, hell, I've been looking at trying to do this for a while too, and don't know why I didn't bother trying to talk to you and Steve a while ago when I first started thinking about it. And
I'm about to say we could have gotten this going a long time ago.
oh god, yeah, dude, like could have been months ago or a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and it could, and honestly, we could definitely leave the door open for other sports. It's just like the perfect time of the year, the perfect time to do it. So,
Oh well, definitely. I mean, that's what I plan on doing. Especially with this thing that I've got with StreamYard and stuff like that. I figure, of whatever you guys want to do, if you want to jump on, just go on a rant about something, just blow shit off your chest.
yep.
Like you get pissed off at like a Bengals game or something, or a baseball game or whatever. Just jump on, put
Heck
something on
yeah.
blast, and just go.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't realize that doing this in general would be so simple. Understanding you got to network and you got to plan, you got to do this and do that, but I'm assuming that comes with the territory. It's just a thing you kind of figure out as you go, you know?
Yeah, and I've talked to a couple of guys that I follow uh, that stream and do podcasts and stuff like that, and now one of them told me about StreamYard, so that's what I got onto, and it's so simple, and I just got to figure out some of this other stuff to where it's not literally just a talking head or a talking avatar of like a Wisconsin helmet, and
Yeah.
I got to get a webcam and stuff like that, and so you can at least like people that do tuning can at least see who they're talking to and see our ugly mugs.
Yep. Yep. And
Definitely get people to
honestly,
tune out
and
immediately.
it's just a matter of trusting the process, you know?
Yeah.
Anywhere's a good place to start. And honestly, I think this is it, you know?
Oh, definitely.
Down to
And
the nitty gritty, bare bones. There's nothing else really to it. It's just the meat and potatoes of what we're doing here.
yeah, and it's like I don't really mind too much for doing it this way right now as we're just getting started because it is what it is. But and
This is how
you
you
know,
build those loyal fan bases, you know.
yeah.
This right here. This is the stuff that people listen to that kind of draw them back and be like, hey, I remember when they were chit chatting on Streamyard, and that's, I mean, hopefully 5 6 years down the road, that's what we're looking at. But
Right? Especially like people that aren't like our moms or our
yo,
significant others or our kids. And it's like,
outer
I
city, out
remember
of
you.
state, out of
Yeah. The hell, I think we got, well, I didn't even look at the last one. I think last one I saw, or the last episode with Steve, the last I saw, I got like 10 views and then I went to bed. So I was like, hey, that's 8 more views than I expected.
I'm about
So
to say
hell
that's a
yeah.
lot more views than, hey, that number hopefully just increases and increases. Hard work and determination will fix it. So,
Oh God, yeah,
and as
definitely.
long as we're
And
always feeding content and able to just kind of reel stuff out, I mean, there's always going to be stuff for people to look at, to listen to, you know, topic and
yeah,
conversation. And as long as there's sports, I think there'll always be something to talk about, you know?
right. And I know, especially with like sports podcasts, it's like everybody wants to do a sports podcast, and there's so damn many of them out there, but they're aren't very many of them that can be as personable as what we can be. Because it's like, I know a lot of Joe Schmoes that nobody knows who the hell they are just going to go out there and be like, you know what, Joe Burrow's a fuck. Bleh. Like, okay, can you not just go out there and tell us that dude's a douchebag?
Yeah.
Like, tell us why you think he's a douchebag. Why is Joe Burrow a douche? I mean, I don't think he's a douche, but I mean,
Yeah.
I know there's like a lot of people out there that are like, there's a lot of podcasts out there that just do that kind of crap. And there's this one guy, like, I'm a big dirt fan, a dirt racing guy, and there's this
Oh
one
yeah.
guy. His name is Chaz. Oh my god, I hate that guy. He's such a douche. And
No
all
offense
he
to Chaz
does,
there, but with a name like Chaz, he's not doing himself any favors.
right? Well, I do have, well, one of my best buddies, I was his best man at his wedding. His name is Chaz.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
okay. I
he's
guess I guess that's not a
he's cool
testament
as
to
hell.
all
He's cool.
Chazes.
He's cool as shit though. I mean, he goes, his real name is Chaston, so it's, at least it's not Chaz. And stupidly enough,
Okay. See, there you go.
it
See,
took like
that's
15 years for me to realize his name wasn't Chaz. It's actually Chaston. And he's like, "You really are a fucking idiot, aren't you?" And I was like, "Shut up, dude."
no. It's just like we're not always us as men. We're not always there to put two and two together.
I know, right? It's like, I'm just I'm just here to give you shit. So it's whatever, dude. I mean, I'm not here to be like, okay, your name is Chaz. So tell me, why did your parents name you Chaz? Is it short for something or is it just Chaz? And what is the meaning behind it? Please elaborate. I don't give a shit. I
I
just
was
want to know
today
who the hell
years
you want to
old
hang
when
out.
I figured out that Chaz is short for Chaston.
Dude, there's always a day for, oh my God, I was today years old.
Yep.
Wow.
Maybe at
People
least
knew
once a
about this
day,
20
man.
years ago? God, 15-year-olds know about this? Oh, dude, shit. Speaking of that, before we get into talking about sports, that reminds me back when I was still with my wife. Um, we were listening to music in the car. It was me, her, and her oldest daughter, and Watermelon Sugar came on the radio.
That's a
And
song. Yep.
I was like I had heard about it on TikTok because I had no idea what the hell Watermelon Sugar meant. And I was like, Delaney, you can't listen to this. You cannot be a Harry Styles fan if he is talking about sexual stuff. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, this song is very sexual. It is talking about oral
Absolutely.
sexual stuff. And she's like, no shit, you idiot. I was like, wait, what?
I
My
think there's that
16-year-old stepdaughter knows this, and I'm almost fucking 40, and I just now found out about this? What the hell?
this generation. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and just dog the new generation because there are things that they can do that I know for a fact that if I sat there and I plucked away at it for years that I still couldn't do. The thing
Oh, for real, dude.
is they are probably the most sexualized yet guarded generation that we've seen.
Oh, for real, dude. Like, these kids.
The music alone kind of does that, but
Mm-hmm.
the music alone kind of is the descriptor here because that's all you have to do is just listen to a couple of songs, like listen to some Cardi B, listen to some Ice Spice, just some off the wall, like why are kids listening to this? Like I'd rather them be exposed to the Ozzy Osbournes and the Kurt Cobains and the and or like bring back Justin Bieber. I'd rather my kids listen to Justin Bieber.
Right.
It's just kind of like when One Direction was together and when they were an actual band. Yes, like 100%. I will 100% support Taylor Swift because she's bringing eyes to the NFL and she's more wholesome than 90% of the artists out.
Oh, God, yeah, dude. Like, I'm I'm not gonna, like, sugarcoat it. Like, I'm a closet Swiftie. It's like, I'm not gonna drive around, like, jamming out her music and shit.
Oh
But
no,
it's like, dude, go Tay-Tay. I mean,
she's doing her thing.
do your thing, dude. Go get it. and it's pretty legit because it's like I always see videos on TikTok of like something new that she did that's freaking. Hey, close that door. It's like something new that she did at a concert out in freaking who the hell knows where it's at. Like there was this fan that was sitting like fourth row at her show, and she was wearing some jacket or something, and it had to do with one of her arrows or some shit. So Taylor was like walking by dancing, and she looked over noticing, and she's like, "Oh my god, I thought I told you not to wear that today," and then just kept dancing and went back into singing. And I was like, "That's the kind of thing that's gonna keep your fans interested in you." Like I know a lot of people give Taylor shit for that, but she loves her damn fans, and it's pretty badass to see something like that happen because like there aren't very many like singers or anything out there or anybody like that out there that does that kind of thing, and Taylor is like the one person that does it, and she's a freaking billionaire, but she's so down to earth and wholesome.
Yeah, I'd give Jelly Roll that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess I've seen a lot of Jelly Roll stuff too, especially with that stuff he did at the state fair here a couple weeks ago. That was pretty
Yeah, I
legit.
went to that show and it was absolutely fucking insane.
Yeah, I really wasn't that big of a Jelly Roll fan until he did that song with Falling in Reverse. And then I was like, dude, this alternative music is pretty freaking legit. Like I can get down to this.
I had the pleasure of listening to him since like day one. I myself am a hip hop head, so I've listened to him since he was that independent, down low, like scraping the bottom mixtape guy, making
Yeah.
music with 3 6 Mafia and Lil White. And then I had the luxury of following his music throughout the course of that time, and it's been pretty fucking awesome, honestly. Especially now, seeing how he just sold out the Iowa State Fair in the most insane display of superstardom that I might have ever seen ever.
Yeah, and like just the huge amount of people that really do follow him and love everything about him. It's like, that's really cool. And what the hell just happened here? Okay. My computer just like crashed out for a second and I don't know why. But I'm still here, so I guess that works. But like anyways, like it's always interesting to see, stuff like that come about and
I got a hot water heater running in my ear right now.
it's all right. I got a fan running in my ear because it gets hot. Like my computer puts out a lot of freaking heat. So like if you keep hearing like constant like blowing in my mic, that's why.
I was
Because
gonna
if
say
not,
I was curious to see if you could hear the fucking monstrosity running in the background.
oh yeah, for a little bit it sounded like you were like freaking hitting a bong or some shit, and I'm like,
Like, well, that would be like the perfect like thing to do right now.
right?
Somebody flushed the fucking toilet upstairs, and now it's just
Wow,
running. You think that classic well water?
right.
If it just
But
stopped running, it wouldn't be so bad.
dude, I know the feeling. Like having lived in my mom's basement for the longest time, like I get it. Because it's like as soon as anybody even gets up to do anything, it's like,
That was exactly what I was thinking because I actually yeah, it's I had to move to the basement. This is the quietest place in the house, and I just didn't want to. I don't know, inconvenience everybody else in the house. And it wasn't until somebody flushed the toilet that it didn't, it wasn't that bad down here. So,
Right. Love you too, bud. Well, but anyways, shall we get this show on the road with the sports talk?
I was about to say, let's talk about that Georgia Tech win real quick because that was a very all round game.
Oh yeah, it was a phenomenal game to watch through and through.
And this isn't a testament to how bad FSU is because they played a very, very all round game. Florida
They
State
really
played
did.
very well. Just Georgia Tech wouldn't go away.
Right. And I think that just goes to show the type of team that Georgia Tech's going to be this year
Yes,
with,
sir.
with Haynes King coming back. He's healthy, he's mobile, and, you got that very strong running game with that option look that they give. And their offensive line is so stacked. Like, damn.
They
It's just,
played
I
smart
think,
football from point A to point B.
hmm
And I think, honestly, the problem with Florida State might have been the fact that they pulled back on DJ a little bit and would have let him throw the ball down the stretch. Not to say that that's his strongest suit, but maybe they should have took a few more chances down the stretch there and tried to, you know, get at least get
yeah.
one more touchdown at the end. Honestly, I will say this: Georgia Tech had the only sack in the whole game.
hmm
So I mean, that is kind of something to kind of throw out there. I mean, Georgia Tech came to play, and maybe Florida State just wasn't expecting it.
Well, I mean, the thing that confuses me a little bit, I'm not sure how true this stat is, but I saw in the first half, uh, DJ or had an average of like negative zero point 0.1 yards in the air per attempt, and 99.999% of all of his yards in the first half were yak yards.
Receptions,
Yeah.
gotcha. It's all possession stuff. So yeah, maybe that could have been it. They
And
didn't
that's like,
trust their
if that's the
receivers to get
case,
down
then
the
it's like,
down the field like that.
right. And it's like, dude, you're freaking Florida State. Like, if you want to
Yeah, you
go
remember
out there on
Jameis
your
Winston and EJ
revenge tour,
Emanuel.
oh, God, yeah. And it's like, dude, if you guys want to go out there on your revenge tour to, put revenge on the nation for getting, bumped out of the college football playoff last season, even though you were undefeated,
This is not a good way to do
air it out.
it. Yeah, throw the
Like,
fucking ball, man. You're playing in the SEC. You got to deal with those guys. You got to deal with all these top ranked teams. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Throw the ball.
right. I mean, you're
I
the
mean,
number 10
understanding
team in
you
the
got a running
country.
back room the way they do, you really can't like blame them for leaning on it because Georgia Tech did the exact same thing.
Right. But I mean, that's going to be Georgia Tech's strength, anyways, with their
Yes,
coach,
sir.
because he's a heavy, you know, shove the ball up your ass and down your throat type of player.
Yep.
That's how he was. I mean, he was a lineman, and he
They have
loves to run the ball.
yeah, and they have a very stout offensive line. They have a good offensive line,
Oh
and
God,
then
yeah.
that running back room in Georgia Tech, it's a lot better than people have given it credit for. The you hit the nail on the head earlier when we were talking about it. Georgia Tech did bring back a lot of their team from last season. So between repetitions for the players that were there the season before and all the recruiting class, I mean, they came out playing the right way, and just Georgia Tech team might be ranked for the first time since 2015.
Oh God, yeah. And I would not be surprised either if this win today jumps them up into the top 25 and probably knocks Florida State out of the top 15.
Yeah,
And like the big thing that
depending on their schedule or what they're looking at, like the next couple weeks, Florida State may have to play with some urgency here because if they lose any of those games, they might just fall out of the 25 in general.
Well, they very well could, and three of the next four are against teams that they should just beat the piss out of.
So let's like for Florida State's hope, let's hope that happens. For Georgia Tech's hope, let's hope they can get their season on a roll with the game that they just won. Because if they can actually get that momentum going, they might actually be a problem for this top 25.
Oh God, yeah, and I think that's just one thing that Georgia Tech's going to do is, with this win, they're just going to start rolling now.
Oh
And
yeah.
with this loss, I think, here in the next couple of weeks, we're probably going to see Florida State, just beat the piss out of the guys that they're playing. But here in 4 weeks, they got SMU,
Yep.
and those guys were insanely good last season. So I
Yep.
could easily see SMU knocking off Florida State.
They SMU is a sleeper team of mine that maybe or may or may not make it into the the rankings, the AP within the next couple of weeks. So they're an under the radar team for me. I will touch on this a little bit later in the episode. I mean, I have a few of those ranked teams currently that I have on the bubble, regardless of ranking, because loss of players thanks to the draft and just overall just strength of schedule.
Oh yeah, and like the crazy thing about SMU, like they won their conference last season,
Yep.
so it's like we know they're good. They dominated their conference last season, with the exception of the championship game against Tulane,
Well, the
which
commit.
it
I feel
was a
like the
very tight
committee
game.
had no choice but to include SMU in all conversations because they were just starting to just destroy their conferences in general. So it's just kind of we gotta not ignore them.
Right, and SMU, like I think, especially here in the last couple of seasons, like them, Tulane, and Memphis, those three have all bumped up big time, and they're just playing some great ball. And like Memphis, though, like they've got a killer offense, but it's
That's a
like a
team
lot of
that.
times, like that defense is just they remind me a lot of like Ohio State, just not as good. Like they've got always got that killer offense, but that defense is, ugh, they can show up or they can just be non-existent.
Oh yeah, fall flat. It happens quite a bit to those outside of the 25 teams because they will get that momentum going when they start playing those teams non-ranked and they'll start getting those wins and then they'll run into their
Oh
first ranked
yeah.
team and it's like they don't even know what to expect.
Hmm.
I was like, man, you've been
And
playing for this the whole fucking season and then you get to this point and these guys run you out of the house.
oh god, yeah. And I think that's definitely something that is going to be so wild to watch for this entire season, because with this new playoff format, with 12 teams, and
It's going to be fun, honestly. It reminds me of the NFL, but you're looking at college talent and you're looking at the next wave of it and you're looking at we're about to see some teams that haven't even gotten close make it this year.
oh yeah,
We're
and
looking at like a whole different era of college football here. Like this is really going to be some groundbreaking stuff. It's going to be fun to watch.
right, and watching college game day this morning,
Oh
like
man.
when they gave their playoff predictions, every single one of those guys had a completely different bracket, and it
Yeah.
was mind boggling to see like how different everything was. And even if the 12 team format was active the last two seasons, just how different the brackets themselves over the last 2 years would have been.
Oh.
Like we would have
Oh
had
my God.
TCU here a couple years ago. We would have had Bama
Cincinnati
not.
might have actually had a chance to win the chip that year
Oh God, yeah. Like they
because
definitely would have. Because
all it
I
took
think,
is one team upsetting Alabama.
yeah. And Cincinnati that year was insane.
Yep.
Which, thank God, because after that, he went to or Luke Fickle came to Wisconsin. So I am fantastically happy about that.
That showed the talent on that team. It exposed that team
Yeah,
in ways that that team wasn't getting exposed before. Ritter became a what is it? What was he, a top round pick? Huh?
yep.
As I say, he may have gotten traded after the first couple seasons, but man, like Ritter might actually be something. And honestly, and that's a testament to the talent in college, because I always think in the NFL it is a good coaching system that helps bring out the best. So when you got a good coach, or when you got that coaching system already in place,
Yeah,
your transfer from college to the pros is a lot easier. To a Tonga Vailoa, Jalen Hurts, those guys, their transfer, their transition was probably about easier than you could have seen almost any players make. I think there's a few of them that actually struggled. Bridgewater is one that, namely, but he did blossom later on.
oh yeah, and like Bridgewater,
I
man, he
feel like
was
he
in one
really
of
set
those.
that tone, man. He set that tone for those dual threat QBs. A lot of people ignored him. Oh, you're just going to end up a receiver. You're just going to end up a receiver. He changed that thought process.
Exactly, because he truly was one of the first. Uh,
He was a
he,
dual threat QB, not scared to throw the ball, man. Like the fact that he was able to sling it the way he was. Cam Newton didn't want to do it. RG3 didn't want to do it. Bridgewater came out and he said, "Screw that! I'm throwing the ball downfield. That's how you win the game."
right, and I think the only one that really actually kind of did it was Michael Vick, but he did it
Yep,
as a run first type guy, which opened up the passing game for him.
yep. He did that run first, and he caught all of his guys over the middle. All
Oh
them
God, yeah,
slants. He made slants popular. That's the reason why most teams don't run it anymore.
yep,
He's all
and
that read option and all that, the wildcat formation and all that crazy stuff that they were able to package just based off of his talents. There really weren't a lot of people that were mobile in his way. Lamar Jackson is quite literally Vic 2.0. Listen, if Vic never got arrested, never got in trouble for the dogfighting, I put money we'd be talking about Vic in this, or you know, he probably would have won a championship in that time, or in a ring, or something along the lines of that.
dude, if Vic did not get arrested for being a dumbass,
I'm not even lying.
then
The NFL would look way different.
oh God, yeah, because that started what very well could have been an Atlanta Falcons dynasty.
Oh,
Period.
that that would have almost killed the pocket passer.
Oh
You
God, yeah.
know,
Well, we're already getting ready to start seeing the death of the pocket passer here because you got
so we got,
mobile
well, no
quarterbacks
Brady,
coming in.
so your true pocket passers who are remaining in the league, Burrow, your your standstill guys. There's not a whole lot of them left.
No, and that's going to bring up a big point uh, again about coaching and stuff like that when it comes to Iowa and stuff. But
Yeah.
uh, before we get too far off track, since
Yes.
we're man, we just keep doing this for days.
Yes, sir.
So let's get on to the Iowa State schedule here. Since college football is starting up, we got officially week 1 next week since today is week 0.
I'm about to say this is setting the tone for what we are to expect the rest of the season. Your AP guys that you see at the top, the teams that they are playing this week, outside of the exception of FSU and what was it? Whoever just blew that fucking massive lead to Montana State.
Oh, New Mexico.
Yes, sir. Outside of those two teams, who evidently did not get the memo. This is
Well, I
what
mean,
sets the tone for your season. So if you
right.
want If you want to have a great season, you guys better come out and you better start stomping asses, okay? Because it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good if you guys fall flat like FSU did. So,
Right. And like I saw a post from ESPN talking about how Montana State shocked the world with beating New Mexico, and I'm like, no, they didn't.
New
There wasn't
Mexico
a
State
single
wasn't
damn
even.
person. There wasn't a single damn person that saw
It was
this
like,
matchup. It was like New Mexico State's gonna wipe the floor with their asses.
oh
Game
yeah, they're
over.
going to win the national championship. Now that would have been a shocker
Right.
if they
Because like
came
once I
out and
saw that
blew out
matchup, I
like
was like,
Washington or something like that. Then I would be
right.
surprised.
I saw that matchup and I was like, I bet Montana State's gonna beat them. I just didn't expect them to be down by 20 freaking points in the fourth quarter
Yep.
and then come back and win.
Yeah, I was saying Mexico State was handedly like handing their ass to them on a silver platter.
Yeah.
So props to Montana State for that comeback.
Oh God, yeah.
We've only
Montana
seen that
State
one
is
other time, and that was the Atlanta Falcons blowing it in the Super Bowl. And
yep.
I'll never forget that. So at least
Yeah.
not that bad. At least not that bad because that was horrible. Listen, if you're blowing 24, 21 point leads, are you sure you're even a football program?
Right. Like I understand like it's gonna happen, but dude, if you're up by 20 in the fourth quarter, the game
Run
needs
the
to be
ball. Run the fucking ball.
yeah.
You run
From
the
what I
ball. You
understand,
do
like
time control. You don't throw.
right, like time control, run the ball, little 5 yard dinking or dunking dime passes here to
Yep.
just keep the ball moving. Just got to keep the clock moving, and New Mexico did not do that.
No, they did not.
But
So what not to do in crunch time? Everybody, watch
yep.
watch that game.
Oh, exactly. But anyways, speaking of FCS teams here, we've got Iowa State against North Dakota for week 1 next week, which, in all
Iowa
honesty, I'm sure
State
Iowa State's going to stomp
shouldn't
their
have
ass.
a problem.
No,
Okay, they
North
shouldn't
Dakota's
have zero issue with that.
right, and we're talking North Dakota, not North Dakota State, which is the
Yeah,
FCS powerhouse. North
which
Dakota is a
they're the
powerhouse
ones
in
that
hockey.
produced our Carson Wentz, and
Yep.
that's the team that people needed to keep an eye on, and they're
And that
still
team
not getting the
still
attention.
is, along with Montana State. But North Dakota, I mean, if we were talking hockey here, oh God, yeah,
Then
you should
yeah,
be
but say it'd
trembling
be a
right
different
now because
story.
North Dakota is a powerhouse in hockey. Period.
Yes,
So I mean, football wise, Iowa State should stomp their asses, especially with Rocco Beck and Abu Sama returning. Iowa State's returning most of their offense, a lot of their defense. I believe they're returning basically the entire team with the exception of a couple guys here and there. And for a team that was expected to be absolute dog shit last season,
they surprised some
to
people. They
oh
did.
God, yeah, especially at the end of the season, like they got a couple wins here and then it really built up the confidence and they played like a team. They
Yep.
actually looked like a legitimate team. They played very well
That
coming up at
camaraderie,
the
that
end.
team chemistry, being able to
Oh
bring
God, yeah.
back your previous team, or at least most of them, or what is that offense? That's going to help a lot.
Yeah. But I think the big thing that's going to set the tone for Iowa State, which is the same that me and Steve talked about, is week 2, that Cyhawk game.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
If they
that's
can
gonna
get a
that's
win
gonna set
there,
the tone. Period.
if they can get a W in that spot, in that game, in Kinnick, they might have just set themselves up for a successful season. And we might actually see them get ranked.
Oh God,
But
yeah.
there's some games a little further down the schedule there that I see that I'm having a real hard time giving them W's. And
Oh,
West Virginia
without a
might be
doubt.
That's a give or take. You know,
Like I've got,
that can go either way.
yeah, I see 4 immediately, and they're
Yeah.
all on the road. So it's like you, ugh. Do you
If
want
I'm
to give them
talking
the
record,
W? I
to,
don't know.
if I'm talking record toward like to end the season, at worst 4-9 or a 5-8. You know, I don't see them being much worse than that. I can see them getting reeling off some really good wins, and if they can get hot early, Iowa State can have a really good season this year. But it
Oh,
all
without a doubt.
depends on the chemistry and the offense, how well the strength of schedule plays out for them, because I know they got some tough matchups kind of late in the season. And if they can get a few signature high end wins, say they come into Kinnick and they can win and they beat Iowa, I wouldn't say handedly, but say 10, 15 points. The tone that that game alone sets for the rest of their season could very well determine where Iowa State is at the end of the season.
Right. And like Steve said, I mean, it goes the same for Iowa. Because, like he said, more often than not, if Iowa loses that game to Iowa State, their season is done.
Yeah.
They will, they'll win 5 games max.
And one of those games will be a surprise win against us in that fucking
Yep.
Wisconsin game. A game that we need to win more than they do.
Yeah, it's been far too long since we've had the Heartland Trophy back in Madison. It is pissing me off.
And I hate to like veer away from Iowa State a little bit here, but me as a Wisconsin fan, like man, like I want to see my guys ranked again. I want to see us matter again. Like I can feel we're on the precipice. I can feel we're getting close. We just, I feel like we just got to get out. We got to get hot. We got to beat Iowa at least this year. We got to beat Iowa and we got to beat them handedly. But we also got to get at least one win over Ohio State.
Yeah, and we can go talk about the Wisconsin schedule as well here after Iowa State, because I've got that put down on my list as well.
Yes,
But
sir.
in all honesty, if we're looking at it right now with the schedule, I'm probably going to give the win to Iowa solely because it's at Kinnick. I mean, if this was at Jack Trice,
We
I
might be
think
looking
I'd
at
give
a
it to
different
Iowa
story
State.
here because Iowa State's home crowd is absolutely insane.
Yeah,
To
and
be able to actually be there and sit in the crowd while the game's being played is an experience outside of just being at the stadium.
right, because like especially these past couple seasons, like the fans are actually excited about the offense, which is something Iowa fans haven't been used to the past couple seasons because they'd be more excited about their punter bombing, 70-yard punts to pin somebody inside the 3.
You know what they
And
say? The best offense is a good defense.
yeah, and that's
And if you're putting them down that far, I mean, I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They just got to do something on offense.
yep,
That's not
because
a
you're not
that's
going to
not a
win it
bad
like
game plan.
because I understand a lot of people say defense wins championships, but you know what? An
That
offense
hasn't
wins
worked
you a
in
game.
years. The last
And,
team that really did it was an NFL team, and that was like the Steelers.
oh, I think that was the Ravens
Yeah.
twice.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The Ravens.
The Ravens twice. The Bears in '86.
Yep. So there you go. Good call. Thank you for the
Packers in
correction.
2010.
But yeah, defense does indeed win championships. Uh, the thing is like if you can, that matters if you can put enough points up on the board.
Yeah,
Because if you put up 15 points and they still drop 20, what the fuck is your defense really doing?
I mean exactly. And that's the big issue with uh like like Iowa and Wisconsin going up against teams that have insane offenses like Ohio State.
Yeah.
Like yeah, you're gonna hold them to probably 20, 24 points, which is what Wisconsin did last
But
season, and
you've
lose
also
24 to
yourself
10.
have got to put up that same amount of points. Like
Right. And
you can't hesitate. You can't think, oh, they're going to pick me off this drive. You got to take those chances, especially against an
exactly.
Alabama. Say you guys make it to say Iowa makes it to the playoff, and we do run into Alabama in some capacity, dude. Like
You
I'm
cannot
sorry,
run the
Iowa
ball down their
fans.
throats like you can in the Big Ten. This
No,
ain't a
we
freaking
can't.
Northwestern defensive line. These are this is a defensive line that's all probably going to go in the top 3 rounds of the NFL draft at some point in their careers, and every single one of them is lined up right against you. You're not just going to cram the ball down their damn throats like you expect to, and you cannot do that. You cannot play Iowa Hawkeye football against a Bama.
I will say this: me being a Wisconsin fan, I am gonna show love to Iowa real quick because good job on them being ranked in the opening of the AP poll. You know, they
So
mud
that
those guys must have seen something with Iowa and said, "Hey, like they deserve it." So like, cheers to them. Let's hope they actually have a put together a pretty damn good season. So now that that playoff is opened up to 12 teams, there's no telling what teams could and can't make it.
oh yeah, but let's hurry up and finish up this Iowa State schedule because we keep getting sidetracked with it.
Yeah. Uh, the
So
long
going
story
into week
short,
3, I've got them going into week 3 against Arkansas State. I've got them being at 1-1, and
yep,
I see them beating or I see them being 2-1 heading into week 4 at Houston.
yep. Houston might give them problems because Houston's been a low key team every year.
Houston
Uh,
has been so good lately, and that
and
offense
that's
again
not
is
even
a high
just their
powered
football
offense.
team; it's been their basketball teams too. Pretty much all across the board,
Hmm.
Houston's been a very solid
Yeah,
team.
and I've got Houston winning that game too, just because I think Houston is too good right now. And
Oh yeah,
here, I believe it was a couple years ago, they almost won the Big 12.
yeah, they did. They did. They got very close.
So I've got them going being 2-2 going into week 5 against Baylor.
Baylor, see Baylor. See that's been one of those games. So regardless of how good Baylor's always been, Iowa
Iowa
State's
State
always
always
given.
struggles against them.
They've always struggled against them, but Baylor's always, in some capacity, struggled in a way against them. It's like
Yeah,
neither team could put up points, and it's just like
I think yeah, because
whoever
I think
scores
the only
last
time
wins.
Baylor was actually truly super dominant against Iowa State was the RG3 years. But even then, Iowa State beat them in one of those years.
Yep.
It just not like it really mattered.
No,
But
so this game could be one of those games that could swing either way, but I'm with you on this one. I'm picking Baylor on that game.
oh, I'm taking Iowa State. The game with the
Oh,
game
oh,
being
okay.
at with the game being at Jack Trice,
Ooh, yeah. You
I'm
know what?
taking
I will
Baylor.
lean towards Baylor, but that is a game that could very well easily go either way.
Especially if if
Hey,
Iowa State goes into that game healthy, I
I
think
say,
they can
yeah,
beat
it is
Baylor.
on me for not really looking into what Baylor's got going on. I mean, yeah, we are Midwest, so I mean, it is hard for me to really focus on a team like Baylor. I will give Baylor credit; they've always had a rather solid foundation for a football team, and they've always been in the eye of the media in some way due to their play. They've had televised games quite a bit, and of course, because of the RG3 era, they have gotten the love that they've deserved. So, um, you're right. You are pretty on the nose with that. I will say that that is a game that could go very well either way. So, I
Oh
didn't
God,
follow
yeah.
Baylor's recruiting class. I didn't follow what they brought back. I didn't know who they lost. So, I was kind of just going based off of historical values, especially I'd say what would be a rivalry.
Yeah, and Baylor they did recruit pretty well, especially with the NIL now. They've been running around trying to, kind of persuade recruits with being told like, "Hey, we're buying you." Kind of the same way Texas A&M is doing their thing too.
Texas A&M could very well make its way up that AP poll very quickly.
I think they could too, or could as well too. But at the same time, they're just one. They always seem to be one of those teams that just shits the bed when they shouldn't.
Yeah, it's like they're right there. they're like gatekeepers, man. They always make it to that point, but they can never get over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
Baker Mayfield, like Baker Mayfield is probably one of my favorite NFL QBs right now, and that's the last time like him and Manziel were like the last two truly good QBs out of there, and I don't think we've seen them get up to that point since.
Right. I mean, uh, well, Mayfield went to Oklahoma.
Oh yeah. He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad, my bad. I said with Mayfield being my favorite player, I got his jersey and everything, dude. That's the thing I should have paid
Got to
attention
do
to
your
before I said.
homework, man.
I will say this: with the NIL, everything go the expansion of the playoffs. My interest in college has significantly peaked. We have entered uncharted territory. I'm usually a pros guy. I like a pros. I will follow certain college basketball. So like yeah, I'm knee deep in the college stuff right now. So this is a new world to me. You're opening up my eyes to a lot of shit here. So
Oh yeah, and uh, back to Iowa State. Uh, got week 6 at West Virginia. I've got another loss there.
yes, sir. Yeah, I got West Virginia taking that one.
Morgantown. West Virginia's bringing back a lot of guys.
And they're one of my under the radar teams that very well could end up ranked at the end of the season here. So
Yeah, same here. So that's shit. What? That's 3-3 heading into week 7 against UCF at home.
and that's not a good place to. I mean, that could be a good place to be if you can get that win over West Virginia.
Yeah.
Because if you get that win over West Virginia, regardless of where they're ranked in this season, you just hit your sweet spot. You're 3-3. You you just hit that over 500 point. You get a win over UC. What is it, UCF?
Yep.
And you could very well hit hit a hot streak.
Well, yeah, because if you get that win against West Virginia, you'll be heading into week 7 at 4-2. Get that
Oh
win
yeah.
against UCF because I don't think they're going to be. I think they're going to be tough, but I don't think they're going to be
Okay,
that
so
great.
I think regardless of how it shakes out that West Virginia game, they're gonna beat UCF because
Yeah.
if they lose, they're gonna be pissed. If they win, they're gonna get hot.
Yeah.
So one way or another, Iowa State's going to come out of that one either pissed or on a hot streak. So I can see Iowa State reeling that, getting a W against UCF there. So
Yeah, because I've got them beating UCF, and then they've got a bye week 8. Week 9 is Texas Tech at home as well, and I've got
I got
them
a
beating
W.
Texas Tech.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got a W there.
So that could very well be potentially 4 consecutive wins in a row with beating Baylor, West Virginia, UCF, and Texas Tech to get on a roll there. But at the same time,
They've got some
I
nasty
mean,
matchups later in the season here too. So I mean, we'll get to those, but as we're going down this list, it's kind of I think it's kind of important to pay attention to those AP games because depending on where those games or where they're ranked,
mm-hmm.
Iowa State could very well change the trajectory of their season.
Oh God, yeah, and I think that's why, with me having them losing to West Virginia and being 3-3 going into week 7, in winning week 7 and 9 to go to 5-3, that could very well change a lot of things too. Because like you said, that West Virginia game is a toss up. Hell, that Houston game could even be a toss up
Yeah,
because
yo,
we're not
absolutely.
sure exactly how good Houston is. So
And
it
you
could
and
be
you
very
honestly, we
well.
never know. We never truly know with Houston until like the day of. It's always game
Yeah.
day that you know what team you're getting, and it's usually about halftime. As like if either they're up a lot, the game's close, or they're getting stomped. I mean, that's usually generally how football games go. But
Yeah.
I'm
And
I'm looking forward to a lot of close games, but I'm also looking forward to those high energy, big shootout games, and that's what I'm looking forward. That's what I'm looking for with that Houston and Iowa State game.
yeah, and I've got a couple games here that I'm really keeping an eye on here late in the schedule that I think are going to be high scoring games. Because for me, I've got Iowa State being what is it, 5-3 heading into Week 10 at Kansas,
And I
and
see
Kansas is
Kansas,
ranked.
yes, and I see Kansas potentially losing their spot in the AP poll.
Yeah,
They're at the very bottom of the list there, and
yeah,
they've
they're
got to
right
get
there with
hot, and
Iowa.
they've got to reel out a lot of wins in order, like, and honestly, with FSU losing, you know, like, that's a team that, like, that Kansas should have to keep an eye on, because if you're looking at where Kansas is currently ranked, if Florida State gets dropped in the APs, you could be looking at Florida State bumping Kansas from the AP, especially if Kansas comes out and loses.
Yeah, because I've got Iowa State losing to Kansas.
Yeah.
Um, just because it's at Kansas, they've done a
And Kansas
phenomenal
has
job at
been a good
recruiting
team.
lately.
Yeah, I was gonna say they've been a good team as of late. Usually when we're talking about college, we're talking about Kansas. We're not talking about football. And the same could be said for
Right.
Kentucky. But
Hmm.
Kentucky is a team to watch as well this year. I say there. I was taking a quick peek at the outside of the top 25 rankings for football, and,
Yeah,
and
Kentucky was one of the few, or one of the first few teams left out of the top 25, and they're
yep,
returning a lot of guys, and they recruited very well again.
yeah. So Kentucky is slowly turning into one of those NFL prospect colleges where they're
Oh
starting
yeah,
to get all these high. I mean, honestly, I'm beginning to think they don't care about how their season turns out, but they want to develop and they want to get these guys in there and they want to make sure these guys know how to play fundamental football, you know?
yeah,
And that's understandable for a team like that, you know? And there is quite a, like, it's like that in the NFL. There's mom and pop teams, you know, that are literally just there to make a good dollar, but you know, you have a solid foundation for a team. You're not losing a lot, you're not winning a lot.
yeah, and I think that's another thing to say, like Cincinnati too, because like their football team,
Yeah.
they've been up and down a lot. Like Luke Fickle, when he was there, he did an amazing team with that program to put them on the map. Now a lot of people look at them and they don't really look at Cincinnati like just a who gives a damn, we're going to roll their asses type game anymore. Like they know Cincinnati's going to go in there and give you a hell of a fight.
Oh yeah.
And basketball wise, they're damn good at basketball too, and they have been for a long time.
Oh yeah. Uh, those honestly, between those teams and UConn, those teams are like, and Notre Dame. Notre Dame can easily be thrown into that small list of not quite enough attention, but are always like on the national level. Like everybody knows about them. They're cranking
Yeah.
out high level recruits. They're cranking out NFL pro ready players consistently.
And that goes to say again against with uh week 11 for Iowa State too. That's Cincinnati at Jack Trice,
Yep.
and
Yeah. So that could very well easily be a
that's
ISU
another
in there.
very close toss up too. But
Yep.
I got the edge going to Iowa State as well because that's late in the season at Jack Trice and out there and
As much
essentially
as
what is the middle of nowhere, because I know Jack Trice isn't in the middle of nowhere, but
there ain't
essentially
a whole lot
it
around, it's a
is.
college town,
There's
man.
right there's
That's literally
basically
what it's
nothing
there
but
for.
fields around there, and except for the fact that I mean you got Hilton Coliseum across the parking lot, and now they're working on building up an entire entertainment district around there for Jack Trice, and they're
They're
doing a
trying.
phenomenal
It's
job
gonna.
with it.
Ames is slowly but surely going to become a full-on tourist town. I
Oh
mean, it's
God,
going to be.
yeah.
It's not like it's not already, because like we've already covered. It's a college town.
They're
The
trying to
positive
create
thing
an
about,
NFL style atmosphere at Jack Trice
and I
with
bet
an entertainment district.
with the population that we have in Iowa alone, the you could very well easily slap an NFL team into that stadium. I
Yeah,
mean, it could. I mean, we're not gonna. We're gonna be. No, we're not gonna be no fucking Chiefs. You know. We're not going to be selling out no stadiums, pissing people off because there ain't nowhere for the rival team's players that are fans to stand or nothing. We ain't going to be doing nothing crazy like that, but we would have a solid following, and I think Iowa would be a good spot for a die-hard, like, true franchise, kind of like what the Lions have in their team. Like,
I mean, I would agree with that, except for
we
the
just
fact
don't
that, I
have
mean,
that team to root for. If we did, it'd be a different story. We probably would have the most diehard fans in probably all of the country. The way
I
we
mean,
are with our actual, like, sports, our college teams.
yeah, I mean, I'm good. I'm definitely gonna hold on to that thought for after this Iowa State stuff, because that's something that gets thrown around a lot about professional teams in Iowa, and it's like I've I've got my I've got my opinions on that, and I know a lot of others do too. Like,
Yeah.
you were just giving yours, and I'll give mine on that here in a little bit after we finish the schedule,
Yes, sir.
because it's definitely something that piques a lot of interest for people around here.
Yes, it does.
But yeah, so I've
Yes,
got
let's
the win
carry on.
going to Iowa State against Cincinnati.
That's a good pick. I am with you on that one. I think at this point, I think it's fair to say that Jack Trice in general, a game being played there is home field advantage, regardless of the team that's being played. So
Yeah, because that would put them at 6-4 going into Utah for Week 12. Was I think Utah is probably going to stomp a mud hole in their asses.
oh yeah, Utah has a potential to is one of my few picks to, and keep in mind I haven't thrown together a true bracket for my playoff prediction, but I do have Utah making it.
Yeah, me too. And Utah has very, very quickly turned into a national powerhouse.
Oh, I remember when they had Alex Smith as their
Hmm.
QB, and they were a problem for it seems to be when they get something going, they're a problem for everybody.
Yeah,
And
especially with Cam Rising now that he's
oh
into
man,
his 35th year in college, and like he's amazing, but he keeps getting hurt, and that's one thing that's annoying me about college football right now is you got all these players that are like in their 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th years of college, and it's like,
what is that doing to the like?
why?
I mean, I
This guy was a
understand.
freshman in 2015. Why the fuck is he still in college?
I mean, I understand if you're, like, pursuing that degree. They have that degree. They have that 8-year program. They have that this, that, and the other, and they're just playing football to pass the time at this point. I mean, because at this point, if he graduates within the next 2 or 3 years, right, and there's that chance that your eligibility for the NFL, right? What's the chances you get drafted? Brandon Whedon was the last one. He was 28 when he got drafted, and look what happened to him.
There's like, there's not like I
I
saw
mean,
that
and he
there.
was a
I
first.
can't
What? He was
remember
the
what
first round
program it
pick,
was.
man.
I can't
Like, that's
remember what program that was. There's a tight end somewhere. He's legitimately in his 9th year of college football.
yeah. I remember hearing
And
something
it's
about that
like,
too. I can't
dude,
remember the program either.
why? Like, oh well, it's COVID and medical red shirts. No. If he gets medically redshirted so many damn times to where he's now playing in his 9th year of college football, he needs to be done. Because
I
now
think
you have a grown ass fucking man that's probably got a wife and 4 fucking kids at his house with a white picket
probably
fence and shit,
dude
playing
probably
against
works
a
a full
bunch of
time
18 year
job.
olds.
I would say he probably
Like,
works a full time job in a warehouse somewhere.
right. Like, dude ain't in college. What?
Is he a starter? Is he actually playing? Like, is he actually?
No.
I was gonna say he's probably just on the team for the be to be on the team.
Oh, no, he's playing.
Oh, but say participation award, motherfucking ass.
Right. Because it's like, dude, like, come on, man. Like, no.
Now,
Should not be doing that.
I will give Brandon Whedon his credit. The Browns took a chance on him, and he took a chance, entering the draft at the age that he was at. He was known more for baseball going into that draft as well. So, and he just knew at
Yeah.
that time at the age that he was at, that he wasn't going to get drafted by into the NHL like Russell Wilson was or Kyler Murray.
Right.
It's honestly, as you've seen less and less of that in recent years. There's not a lot of those guys that can be that two way. That's
Yeah.
not a bad
And
thing. That's not a bad thing. I'm just
no,
glad to
because
see that some of these guys are really focusing their energy on the sport at hand, the stuff that they're playing. Understanding it's one time a year that you get to play, and if you are a college athlete, you get to play multiple sports.
hmm
That's understandable, but it's different playing or get preparing for spring training and then turning around and doing OTAs with the NFL.
yeah, and I think Vanderbilt's got a kid that does that right now. I can't remember if he graduated or not, but he played base. Oh no, it was UCF, not Vandy. UCF.
I was going
He
to
was
say,
their
so
he's their
I'm sure it
starting
was one of
quarterback.
those.
He's their starting quarterback and one of their starting fielders too for baseball. Because there were a couple times last season to where he'd have something baseball related and then turn around and have to immediately get ready to go do football stuff.
Yeah, that would suck ass, dude. Imagine not having any time for anything other than football. I mean, I understand those people, those athletes understand living and eating and breathing it, you know, but to turn around and apply yourself in a way to another sport that would almost force you to give 100% of your time to being an athlete.
Oh God, yeah, and like there's videos of him running around and stuff, like legitimately getting onto a golf cart to go from playing football to go do baseball stuff or vice versa. And
I can
like
imagine
as
there'd
he's
be
like
some
on the
drills that you can
yeah,
run
like
baseball to football stuff where it would transfer and it would, the transition wouldn't be too terrible. And it wouldn't, you wouldn't have to throw your body out of its regular motions of what you've already been working on. So
right.
anyway, let's finish this Iowa State schedule. I want to get to where they finish at the end of the season, at least in your eyes.
Yeah, they finish at home against Kansas State. I've got them. That's another very tight toss-up game. Uh,
Yeah, because Kansas State, it's been an up and down program as of late, the last few years. I remember there's a couple years ago where they were actually kind of like bottom tier, and then the last couple years they've been able to get themselves back on track. They are
yeah,
ranked this year, so I will give them that.
yeah. I'm gonna give the dub to Iowa State though, and have them finish the season at 7-5. But like we talked about earlier, I mean, there's so many toss-up games in there to where they could win that we've already given them losses, or there's some games in there that we've given them losses and they could win. They could very well be 7-5. They could be 9-3. Hell, they could be fucking 3-9 or 4-8. Like
Yeah, yeah.
this,
Iowa
it's
State's
just such a toss-up schedule for these
they
guys
have
because the
so
Big
many
12 is
swing
stacked.
games where they can easily put the momentum into their favor, especially going into that bye. If they can listen, if they can go into that bye week and they can get a W, or they coming or going into that bye week, they coming off W, and then they come out of the bye week and get another win.
Hmm
There's no telling how good Iowa State can truly get this year. But there's also a little bit of concern on behalf of their strength of schedule because there's a lot of teams that they could very well be playing this year that can just straight up walk in and like you know blow them out.
Yeah, and I think in this schedule, the only game that I can truly see Iowa State being an absolute blowout is, well, I think probably North Dakota. Arkansas State's not that bad.
No,
They're really
no,
not.
and no, they've definitely been worse. I will
Yeah.
say this: Utah, I do see Utah blowing out Iowa State,
Oh
but I
God,
do
yeah.
see that being Iowa State's only true like blowout loss.
Yeah, I
Maybe not the
completely
only
agree.
loss, not the only loss where they get beat handedly, but not. It's going to be the only true blowout loss that they get because
Yeah.
they. I mean, I'm trying to give and trying to be unbiased here. I'd say the same thing about Iowa too. It's just kind of like I think they can actually truly be a good team this year, and it's just if they can get off to a hot start, they can come out. They can beat if they can beat West Virginia
Hmm.
and then keep the momentum going that way. They might actually have a chance against Utah once they do come to blows. And it also, like I said, it also depends on that Baylor game because if they can beat Baylor in the same fashion, you know, those two games, that West Virginia and that Baylor game, could very well be swing games in terms of momentum for Iowa State.
Oh, without a doubt. And like I said, like this schedule could easily put them at 7-5. They could go 5-7. They could potentially be 9-3, 8-4. Like it's such a toss-up schedule for these guys, and like we're not exactly sure how this team's going to come out and be. I know they're returning a lot of players. They got Rocco Becht last year that played very, very well. They got Abu Sama returning, who was insane coming down the stretch last season as a true freshman. Like he
Yep.
was amazing. Like holy hell, like he put his name on the map last season solely for that game against Kansas State in the snow where he was just juking and jumping and man, those cutbacks that he was making in the
I tell you
snow.
what,
It
playing
was like
playing
holy
in that
hell.
weather, it. I tell you what, it builds the players differently. So
Hmm.
I do say there's a lot of Big Ten like teams and Big 12 teams, or vice versa, or just teams that play primarily in the Midwest that have to deal with that cold weather. Those
Hmm.
guys, I do believe, got advantages against those teams that deal with the warm weather. Because like even if those guys go into that warm weather, what's the difference? In fact, if
And
anything, you're giving them even better temperatures to play at.
and that is something to think about too with the college football playoff
Yep,
because
it's
round
gonna be that
one,
perfect time of year.
heck, round one, the highest ranked team hosts the game.
Yep.
So I mean, we could easily say, like for instance, Iowa, they go in as like a 6 seed or something, for, or whatever. They go in as a 6 seed. They play at the end of December. That's colder than shit here in Iowa a
Yes,
lot
it
of time.
is.
And in Iowa City, especially the last couple of years, it's been snowing a lot at that time in Iowa City. We could be easily seeing a game to
Well,
where there's like 20
blizzard,
inches of snow on the field or a
a
straight
straight
up
up
freaking
blizzard. You
blizzard.
can't see anything. Good luck throwing the ball. You have to
Right.
literally run, and you got to hit each other. You're gonna hate it. Whoever's playing Iowa, whoever's playing Iowa State, whoever's playing anybody in that Midwest during that time, good luck.
Oh God, yeah. And
That's what I'm excited about these playoffs because we finally get to see Alabama truly match up against a real Big Ten team, especially if one of the, and it could be any of them, if especially if
mhm.
one of them truly gets hot and they're looking like the team to beat. I'm ready to see what this SEC's got against our Big Ten, man, because it's going to be fun. This playoffs is going to be really fucking fun, and I think as college, for anybody who's truly a college fan, prepare yourself because we're about to hit like overdrive here.
Oh yeah. And that's gonna bring us to the next talking point here, the college football playoff.
Like,
So, with that being said, who do you have for your conference champs?
see
Because
that
I
one's
did conference champs for every conference, so I've got all of them put down on my list here.
yeah. See, I don't have a full conference. I don't see, like I said, I don't have my playoff put together at all. I have more stuff geared towards what the AP might look like at the end of the season.
Hmm.
and maybe what teams might break into the bubble or break into that 25, what teams may or may not make the 12 at the end of the season, and what teams to really watch out for, and who could very well just straight up break the college football season for everybody. You know,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like I slacked on looking up the conferences.
Oh man, that's fine. I mean, just go ahead and give me what you've got, because I've got my conference champions here for every conference, and I've got my teams that I have making the playoff, just in no particular order.
Yeah, I'll run it back the next episode or the next little next the next episode we do, because this I'll hear yours out, and then but probably between now and then we'll probably have another slew of games or whatever. So I mean, like I said, there'll be time to work into that, and of course it'll give me more shit to think about.
Yeah.
So I have four teams dropping completely out of the AP 25 by the time the end of the season rolls around. And that very
Oh.
well could be five, with the addition of Florida State. Because I had this written down before they lost. And it's Kansas, North Carolina State, USC, and Iowa. And I don't want my local Iowa fans to get mad at me, but that's based off of strength of schedule and the teams in the Big Ten. Man, like Big Ten, like we've got a lot of guys ranked this year. Like Ohio State's never not ranked. You have to deal with Michigan on a consistent basis. Penn State is ranked. Um, if our Wisconsin Badgers get hot, that's another team that they have to deal with. I'm just not. It's just the schedule's not leaning in the favor of Iowa, considering how good the teams that they have to play are. Understanding
Hmm.
Ferentz has always had his defense, his chickens in a row when it came to the defense, but that offense looked putrid last year. They couldn't get anything going. That's what concerns me the most. If they can break that, and if they can get it going in terms of their offense, and it could be within the first couple weeks. If they can just get hot in any capacity, figure it out, they very well easily could work their way off of my on the bubble list. Now, the teams that I truly can see breaking the college football season are as follows. And one of them is Stardom, because I wrote their name down and they beat fucking FSU just way out of left field. I don't think anybody gave them credit. I think by the end of the season, we will see Georgia Tech ranked. Whether it be top 15, whether it be top 20, it who knows.
Hmm.
But my list goes as followed: Boston College, Washington, North Carolina, Memphis, West Virginia, Boise State, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and SMU. Those teams, I can see them all being ranked by the time the season ends.
Oh God, yeah. Like
There's,
especially SMU and Boise State, because I know Steve's got Boise State making the playoff, so
yeah,
he
they're
definitely
making the
sees them as
playoff for
being
me
ranked.
too. I'd say Washington, but I'm having a hard time. I want to see what they got. My verdict will be out on them more towards mid-season. So there's a few of these teams that's kind of where I'm at. Like with Memphis, I'm not committed to that. I'm not committed to that idea yet.
Hmm.
I want to see them come out and get hot. I want to see them play like they're supposed to. Boise State, always a concern. I say that because I remember there was a good 4 or 5 year stretch where they were almost in the national championship every year.
Oh
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure didn't have. Pretty sure they won one of those.
Wait, who? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Who? Or which team you're talking about?
Boise State.
Oh no.
If
Yeah,
they didn't win it, they certainly got fucking close. So, I mean, it's for them
yeah.
to.
There was that game against Oklahoma
Yeah. See, I
where
knew
they
that. I
upset
knew
them
they got
with
close.
yeah. It was the what was it, the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, there you go. The Fiesta Bowl. See the bowl games and the actual playoff itself. I know, like we got a couple of those games in the playoffs that are actually bowl games. like that are
Hmm.
actually considered bowl games. I don't know if the rest are just offshoots or just shit that they're just naming bowl games.
Yeah.
But Boise State, it's actually kind of like it's kind of good to see them doing good again. And
Yeah.
shout
And
out to that blue turf, man, because that shit never gets old on the eyes. You have to look away every 5 minutes.
right. It's like it it just throws you for such a big loop, and it's like,
I know that's why they did it too. It's an advantage to them on
why?
the in terms of the football, in terms of the that ass end of the football. It's all about confidence, all about throwing your opponent off. Imagine, remember what Iowa did to their their opponents.
Right.
They painted their visitors locker room pink.
Well,
It's
hell,
not. It's not a.
now there's every school wanting to, go out there with colored football fields because uh, I think Eastern Washington's got a red football field. There's another school that just updated their field and it's red.
And I would like to
Eastern Michigan has
springboard.
a gray field.
I would like to springboard off of this and explain to people listening, whoever that may be, whoever is out there, how ridiculous it is that the NBA has banned those ninja style like headbands. Yet a whole entire college program can paint their field a different color, an advantage for them.
Hmm.
Like, I know that's like we're looking at completely different ends of the spectrum here, but look how ridiculous that is. I just think like that's almost like cheating. The thing with the field. It's almost like cheating, especially if you're going to do it some bright ass color that you know is going to fuck everybody's eyesight up.
Oh
I mean,
God,
yeah,
yeah,
it could be a disadvantage for you, but at the same time, man, like you don't want to run the risk of fucking your own team up here.
like especially that blue because it's that shade of blue towards not overpowering, but like then you got like Eastern Washington or that other school now too towards a red field, and it's like, dude, that shit, that's a lot.
Yeah, I was just
That
say
red
it's
is
just
a
hard on the
lot.
eyes overall. Like,
Yeah.
next thing you know, we're gonna be looking at neon bright yellow fields because Oregon wants that. You know,
Hmm.
or it's just like the most absurd looking stuff. Like you're gonna see some crazy looking like bright neon black fucking zebra stripes, or the fucking lines for every single down or every single 10-yard line is going to be like some off the wall color. It's the stuff we're going to be seeing is just going to be crazy. It's just like, honestly, football overall, and not a lot of it's for the bad. Honestly, a lot of it is for the good. For example, the playoff, that is tremendous. What we're doing is
Yeah.
we're giving a lot more conferences, a lot more teams, a lot more top tier teams that couldn't quite make the cut, that real opportunity to actually, because I'm assuming it's the same way it is for the NFL, winning one and done. It's, losing you're out.
Hmm.
Yeah, so if that's the case, like honestly, it really does even the playing field for every single team, and you're not getting those SEC or ACC favors, because let's be honest, the committee was handing them out last year when because let's be honest, Florida State should have been where Bama was last year. I would have put Florida State in there.
And in all honesty, I wouldn't have, just
Yeah, because we're
solely
looking at
because,
what happened in the long run, and honestly, for the health of the sport, we're looking at legacies here, and
yeah,
you can't ignore Alabama's legacy and the fact that they had only lost 2 games, and they were two good teams. So it's not like they were some off-putting teams, some like lowly ranked teams. They were
yeah,
two of possibly the absolute best teams last year. So you can't even look at Alabama like they didn't deserve it. And I acknowledge that after I went on record to say Florida State did get robbed. I They're not wrong. I do believe Florida State should have been in it, but I also believe they made the right choice putting Bama in.
I completely agree. And like, yeah, it does suck if you're a Florida State fan just because you wanted to have that chance. But dude, look what Georgia did to you in the bowl game. They beat you by fucking 60.
Yeah,
That's why you did not make the playoff.
I will say
You
this:
were not
Georgia
the
is
same
a part
team.
of that. I have Georgia making it. I have a few. There's a few names that I've mentioned: Utah, Florida, not Florida, Georgia, and there's a couple others. I do not, under no circumstances, see them missing it. Alabama
Yeah.
is one of those names. Ohio State and Michigan. Now Michigan has to really show me something this season to to keep me convinced.
Hmm.
Like they more have to earn it. No Harbaugh, no McCarthy, no nothing. They don't have the team of last year or the year before to really lean on because a good portion of that team went to the NFL anyway. So they got to either think outside the box here or they got to keep doing what they've been doing and just keep running the same shit with different players.
Yeah, because like that's the thing with that. It's man, I just lost my train of thought. Shit.
Now I would like to see it would be a breath of fresh air if Michigan turned around and repeated
I don't know about that.
because outside of Alabama, we haven't had too many outside of Clemson. They won two of them. They didn't repeat, but they won two of them. Clemson has been a very underrated team, and I can see them climbing up the rankings quickly as well.
Uh, Say that again.
Clemson, I got Clemson has a sleeper team to make the. I wouldn't say a sleeper team. They're ranked in the AP as we speak,
Yeah,
but
they
their track
very well
record's
could
great.
get destroyed in week one.
Who they got?
Georgia.
Yeah, I was about to say they got Georgia, and
Georgia's gonna kick their ass,
I
and if
tell
they
you
don't,
what,
I will be surprised.
if Georgia beats them right, and then Clemson turns around and beats everybody else, they're not going to frown upon that loss.
No, God, no.
They're going to look at us like that's almost like a you know like a
That
battle
was,
scar, like a battle wound,
yeah.
man. Like goddamn, like they survived that, and look where they're at. Because most people take a devastating loss opening week, and like I said, this is why I say Florida State could very well end up unranked because
Hmm.
a loss like that, though by 3 points, though it may seem very minuscule, could be absolutely devastating and crumble a season.
Oh yeah.
So we have a few. We do have a few like big games coming out. The first what you call it, the first this week zero. There's like LSU versus USC. That's why I have USC on my bubble. Is
Hmm.
because if LSU comes out and absolutely spanks USC the way I think it will, the way I think they will, then then there's no doubt that USC will fall out of the ranking. I can see actually Georgia Tech taking their spot.
Oh, without a doubt. And I mean, I think USC is going to lose to LSU anyway. So I could easily see Georgia Tech being ranked after next week.
I see USC having a down season thanks to the loss of Williams, and there's a lot of other players just overall from that team that made that team halfway decent last year. And that team wasn't even that great. There's part of me mentally that was thinking like, why did they even get ranked this year? I think they just put them there for name value. That could have been it. I don't know if they showed something in the offseason where the recruiting class was different, the transfer portal was different. They took advantage of that. I have no idea like what got USC their ranking, but I do not see them
Just the
keeping it.
fact that it's freaking you, or just the fact that it's them.
There's one more surprise team. He's actually kind of far up there. They are a good. They are a very very good team. I will not mince my words. And I said it very well could happen because it happens every year, regardless of who the fuck's on their team, who's their head coach, who's on the team in general, how many 5-star recruits. Texas. they always seem to crumble somewhere along the lines. As like they'll get on the press, they'll be on the precipice, they'll be right there, just and all they have to do is step over the line, man. Like you're there. I've
Hmm.
seen it a couple times. Colt McCoy was their last like overtly great QB, and I remember that dude. Like, and that was so long. That felt like so long ago, man.
Oh God, yeah.
Like, I just hope they don't like butcher the Manning last name with Archie Manning, man. Like, they let that man play. Don't just hoard him because you're going to ruin his career.
Yep.
We got the
Oh,
next bloodline here.
I think Archie's gonna end up transferring out anyways, because
It'd be a very smart choice for that man. Just transfer to a different school, whether it be a school that gives you a 1 year play plan or, or
yeah,
has an overall vision for what they're going to do with you for the next 2 or 3 years.
right.
Because undoubtedly, what he redshirted his first year. At least I'm assuming
Yeah,
he
yeah, he
redshirted.
did
Yeah,
redshirt.
yeah. See him redshirting his first year, like that was a smart choice for him because we knew with Quentin Ewers there, he wasn't going to start.
No.
And it's hard for me to even say that there's very many other players that I would start over Quentin Ewers. And in fact, I do see him being a top, in fact, a first round pick when he does get drafted. It's
Oh,
just,
he's going. He's gonna be.
I was gonna say he's gonna be, and who knows what team it's gonna be. He's gonna be somebody's franchise QB.
Yeah. All right.
I,
So
I hate,
real
I
quick,
hate to disagree.
who are your 12 playoff teams?
Okay, so I had the, I had the thing pulled up. Let's hope it doesn't kick me out.
Because I'm trying to get our list down here so that way there-
We know what
I'll
we're
have
really
you.
working with here.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is I take the top 25, the AP pool itself, what we currently got, and I like to go based off of that. Now, it's always not always the best way to go, but it's a good thing to really go off of, and it's not because as much as I like to give the committee shit and the people who vote about where the rankings are, it's not always wrong because you got teams like Bama who are who are almost always a shoe in for top spots like that. Clemson, Georgia, and I don't have a particular like like ranking for these. It's just like these are the teams I can see being there. Utah, uh, LSU, I can see them breaking in. Ohio State, Utah is just too good to ignore. They are just such a good team
Yeah.
overall. It's just like I'd be surprised if we're not talking about them after the season's done, as they're the ones that win it. You know, like it just seems like this college football season seems way more wide open
Hmm.
than what previous years.
Yeah. Like this season's crazy. Like, I mean, there's so much parity in college right now. There's only maybe three teams that I could honestly see potentially going into the playoff undefeated.
Yes, sir. And that
And
is
Georgia, Oregon, and in all honesty, I can only see Georgia, Oregon, and Utah potentially going into the playoff undefeated. But then again, there's so much damn parity because Oregon's got to play Ohio State, period. And
oh
then
yeah.
they've got Iowa at Iowa. They've got Wisconsin. I believe that's at Camp Randall. So welcome to the Big Ten, motherfuckers. You're going two of the toughest places to play in college football. Welcome to
Yeah,
the Big Ten.
before I go on to give you my 12, as I've only gotten 5 written down here. Here's where I want what I want to know. Who's your final 4? for the playoff, and who do you think is going to overall take it?
Um, let me look at my 12 and kind of look this over a little bit because that's. I think I might wait until Steve's on so we can all talk about that one.
Oh yeah, that'd be a
But
good idea. That'd be really good.
because that would definitely be interesting to see what he says about his final four as well. Because oh man, yeah, that's a good one to think about. Because like my 12 is pretty similar to Steve's, but it's different. So I'll go ahead and give you my 12. So my 12 here, I've got Georgia, Oregon, Utah, and Clemson as the four Power Four conference winners. Tulane being the group of four or the group of five conference winner.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Tulane's a good.
So those will
They've
make
been a
five
good team.
conference winners there. And then for the other seven, got Bama, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, Mizzou, Oklahoma State, and Penn State. And I did this list last night, so it worked out perfectly for me because I truly did not think Florida State was going to be as
Upset the way
great.
that they did.
Like I figured Georgia Tech was going to give them a good game. I didn't think they were going to beat Florida State. I'm definitely glad they did because now I feel so much better keeping them off of my playoff.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is like that could have went absolute, like could have went left or right. It's just a
Yeah.
good. It's just a great thing that it didn't absolutely collapse on itself there.
Hmm.
Honestly, I think with the movements, just in conferences and everything involved, just for example, USC being a Big Ten team, Oregon being a Big Ten. It's just it's so goofy to see. I thought it was goofy seeing Maryland as a Big Ten team, but you know, I guess there's just like no true way around it. I guess it's actually overall good for the health of the Big Ten because I didn't see, we have our top teams generally from the Big Ten,
Hmm.
and they generally don't miss. It's generally the same set, almost every year.
Yeah, the
This,
only teams that really have had a shot at making the playoff or like the BCS championship out of the Big Ten is year after year after year after year, Ohio State. Every freaking year, Ohio State. And then that one oddball year to where Iowa's like, hey, you remember how we were 7-5 last year? Guess what, bitches? We're 12-0 now. And then it's like, oh shit. And then Michigan State's like, by the way, we're 11-1, bitches. And then they beat Iowa. They go to the playoff and then get their dicks punched in by Bama. They haven't been the same since.
no, never, never. I would like to
So
point out that the
it's pretty much
Pac-12.
like this is the reason why people don't take Big Ten football seriously because it's always Ohio State, Ohio State, Ohio State. And then when we do get the random, hey, guess what? These guys are going to go to the playoff now. They get their asses kicked.
Listening to you describe this, I'm like, dude, this is the reason why it's hard for me to me being in Iowa, living in Iowa. It's hard for me to truly sit here and be like, yeah, we're a good team. No, no, because every big team is almost a Big Ten team is almost the same, and it's
Hmm.
almost like the results don't change either. But
Well,
I do have a 12 here if you want to hear
Okay.
them. I don't have conferences written down. I just have
Oh,
the overall
that's fine.
teams. I have the overall teams written down, and they are as
Yeah,
followed.
you don't even have to rank them. I don't give a
I didn't. I
well,
just wrote them down. I did
that
take
work.
the AP. I did take the AP, and I did write these based off of AP and where the current rankings are sitting.
Okay.
It goes as followed: Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Utah, Oregon, Clemson, LSU, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Old Miss, Mizzou, and reluctantly, because I just said something about them earlier, Texas. I literally was like, dude, if any team in the AP I can see having the worst, absolute worst mid-season collapse, it's Texas. It happens every year. It happens, and if it doesn't happen every year, it happens every other year. You know, it's happened more times than I can count. Where they start off either ranked or spoken highly of, and then they come out and just fall flat. And
What's your 12 again? I got Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Utah, Oregon, Clemson, Tennessee, Mizzou, and Notre Dame. I'm missing three.
Tennessee. Okay, so LSU,
Oh, yeah, I forgot them. Okay.
Texas.
You okay?
You said you were missing three. Um, I think the only one you're missing is you said you did you say Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, shit. Okay, so maybe I'll just run down the list again.
Okay.
Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Utah, Oregon, Clemson, LSU, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Old Miss, Mizzou, like Missouri,
Yeah. Okay,
and
I've got it. I
Texas.
was missing Ole Miss.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But yeah, that's based off the rankings. A lot of it is some of it is partially due to recruitment classes. I know there's Missouri had a great recruiting class.
Yeah, they did.
I would also like to talk about Wisconsin's recruiting class while we have the opportunity, because
Well, real quick, before we jump into Wisconsin's recruiting class, quick, um, the only issue with your 12, you have to have a group of five conference champion.
okay, so it would be
So you'll have to take somebody out and then put in like a group of five conference champion. Like I've got Tulane. I think Steve's got Boise State.
yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah, you can probably swap. We can probably swap out because I don't know if I trust Notre Dame.
I think Notre Dame's going to get in. Period.
You think they're gonna?
Yeah,
That
they
is
could
a
go in as a two-loss team, or probably lose
yeah.
three games close, and then just because they're fucking Notre Dame, they're going to get in as long as they're in the top 12.
I am gonna put in Boise State because that is a very good choice, and I think
Hmm.
that based off of I do see them having an incredible season this year. I don't trust Tennessee though.
Me neither.
They had a lot of turnover. They are ranked, but they had a lot of turnover. And turnover is not always the greatest. So, especially when it comes to recruiting classes and what you can bring in terms of transfer portal.
Yeah, because so far from what I've seen, not even the experts have Tennessee making the playoffs. So
Yeah. So I guess it would be kind of smart on my behalf to. I am definitely going to put in Boise State because it feels right. Number one, it feels right in my head and in my heart. That's maybe one of the teams I ignored on accident.
yeah, because that was very tough for me. I was just flip flopping back and forth between
Tulane
Tulane.
is good though. Tulane is good as hell, man. Like you hear about them every year. There's like no shortage of being able to just handle their conferences. Like it's like
Hmm.
it's their light work. Like man, like you guys aren't even playing with anybody. You guys are playing on your own.
Well, and then I mean, with their conference period, it's like their conference is so tight, and Uh,
I'll say honestly, it's about tick for tack for like all their top teams.
yeah.
It's like you can't really look at the top teams and be like, yeah, this one's better, really truly better than the other ones. It's wide open when it comes to the top, tippy top of the conference.
Oh God, yeah. And I think that's a lot of what's going to play hand in hand with these games because, like they said this morning on College Game Day, like you could very well see every single team this year going in with at least one loss, and that most likely will happen. And you're probably going to see it one or two, three loss teams make the playoff.
Which is going to be absolutely unheard of, considering all things considered. Because even last year, it would have been considered absolutely far fetched that a 3-win team would even get close.
Oh, exactly. Especially in
Like,
the
no, you're
BCS.
outside of the rankings usually if you have two losses. You
Well,
know,
right. I mean, like, well, lately within the last like 3, 4 years or so, there have been quite a few three-loss teams that have been in the top 15. But
you know what I
making the
really think
like
has happened.
even making the playoff at all, period, like being in the top 10, like it's been iffy.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, if anything, college football has never been more wide open than it is currently. And I
Hmm.
say that, as like, dude, like we're gonna see a lot more teams taking L's. Teams are gonna take these losses, and we're gonna see the truly great teams come out during the playoffs. When we see some of those 2 or 3 win teams, I bet you at least one of them's gonna get close.
Oh God, yeah. And that's the thing that I was talking about earlier too, is like there's for so many years, like you could see a team and just or see a couple teams and just easily pinpoint, okay, they're going undefeated, those guys are going undefeated, that team could probably do it, that team might, probably not though. But this year it's just like, damn, I don't think I see a single team going undefeated. And if it happens,
I can see it being Utah.
probably Utah, maybe being the only team that's undefeated, just because
To
Georgia,
me,
they got to play.
listen,
They still got to
yeah,
play Bama. They got uh, fucking Texas and Oklahoma. Like they
that's
got
the
full
hardest
schedule.
thing for me. Has sitting there watching to sit here and be like, yeah, this team's going to do better than the other. Well, when you think about the schedule that Bama has to play, that Georgia has to play, that Clemson has to play, that Texas has to play, that all these teams have to play.
Hmm.
I'm not even gonna lie. Utah's probably got it easier than a lot of them. Utah's
Yeah,
gonna reel off some really good, really fucking wicked wins, man. They're gonna start reeling off these wins, and it's gonna get crazy.
yeah, and the Big 12 is no slouch either. Because look at Oklahoma State. They've recruited very well. They've got a lot of returning starters. Like
Oh
they
yeah,
are look like they could very easily, you know, fight for that Big 12 championship and
absolutely, and they could
knock
very well
Utah off the
sneak
or
in.
off the pedestal. And hell, I've
Absolutely,
got Oklahoma State being in the playoff.
yeah, yeah. That's the thing that I can very well see happening. There's Big 12 is absolutely stacked. I just looked it up. I want to go on record to say this because I don't know how many people actually truly know that the Pac-12 is now only down to 2 teams.
Yep, the Pac-12 is dead.
Yeah, because for those who don't know, what had happened over the course of the last season, maybe 2 at most, is that your Pac-12 teams jump ship to other conferences. So
Yep.
that explains for those who are confused why USC and Oregon are Big Ten teams now and not their initial. And honestly, I think it is healthy for the game. We're gonna
I
get
I I think to an extent,
yeah.
because looking at it this way, I agree with uh,
Well, maybe we'll see
a lot of
Iowa
experts
change
too.
their coaching philosophy thanks to that.
I doubt it.
Because they come out and get fucking smoked by Oregon. What do you think's gonna happen to fucking Ferentz, man? He's gonna fucking be like, what the fuck just happened?
nothing's gonna happen to Ferentz.
No, no,
Like
nothing's
to be
gonna
fair,
happen to
like
Ferentz.
not being I'm looking at this solely as a football fan, period. Not
Yeah,
because I'm a Wisconsin fan and I fucking hate Iowa.
let's
And
go. I
sorry, Steve, but well, Steve knows. We've
was
been
gonna say,
buddies for almost 20 years now. But like looking at it in this way, Iowa has such a hard on for Kirk Ferentz. He has a lifetime contract.
Nick Saban
Essentially.
comes to mind. What is it? What's his face? Joe Paterno.
Yep. The
There's
only thing
not
that
very
the
many
only thing
coaches.
that is going to end up getting Kirk Ferentz out of his contract and out of Iowa Hawkeye football is one, he retires, or two, he dies on the field because it's not happening. They're not going to fire him because they're getting stomped by Oregon or stomped by these guys or whatever. Like, it's
No,
not going to happen. And the thing that really pisses me off about
I
it so
do.
much, Iowa fans slurp that up so much as, oh, it's Kirk Ferentz, it's the Hawkeye way, this and this, that and that. Steve, I know for
Pardon.
one point, is not that guy. Steve does not do that.
No,
But
Steve sounds
I
like Steve
see,
understands
yeah,
that
Steve,
it takes a good recruiting class. It takes good players to win football games.
yeah, Steve gets it. He understands you're gonna with Kirk Ferentz football, you're gonna get a great defense and a terrible offense. Iowa's offense has not been good as like truly great, except for maybe 3 seasons. The 12-0 season, they were good.
They were great. Well, we had what's his face? Oh, why did I forget his name? Bethard, didn't we?
I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not an
I
Iowa
don't even
fan.
remember.
I don't
I
give
was
a
to
damn.
say. I was to say, name me one Iowa. Not I. Okay, so this is a full correction on what I'm about to say here too. Not Iowa State. Name me one Iowa QB that has truly like done anything in the NFL.
There's not,
I'll
and
fucking
it's
wait. I'll name a Wisconsin one right now.
Russell Wilson.
I was gonna say I just shit. I'll just name off a
But
couple of players that had a
but at the
great
same
and
time,
phenomenal
really make that
careers.
argument too to where, oh well, he was only a Badger for 1 year. He got his name at North Carolina State. Yeah, that's
Yeah, but
true.
guess what? He got drafted as a Wisconsin Badger.
And he claims himself every single game as a Badger.
Yes, sir.
He don't claim a
So
North Carolina State.
I was gonna say if he ain't obviously something happened there for him to want to leave North Carolina State. So
Mm.
for him to claim Wisconsin under his own terms, and then for us to openly accept him, that man is a Wisconsin Badger. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You got two of the most Wisconsin Badgers, like you can't get any more Wisconsin Badger than the two gentlemen talking about the Wisconsin Badgers right now. My point
Right.
being, Russell Wilson is a Wisconsin Badger, and that man needs more love.
Well, I'll give him love for being a Badger, but dude needs to retire. Dude, you're not good anymore. Just fucking hang it up.
And maybe it is a part of my love for him as being a Wisconsin fan that makes it hard for me to want him to retire. Like I just want him to have one last good season. I mean, he's got a Super Bowl, man. I ain't got to say much more, man. That man did
Mhm.
everything. That dude literally carried a franchise for the duration of his career. He could retire. He doesn't need to do anything else. That man did exactly what Drew Brees did, probably in a shorter amount of time.
Oh God, yeah.
It carried a
And I
franchise.
love Drew Brees.
Drew Brees is the man. I'm not gonna diss Drew Brees either because that man's Hall of Fame guaranteed. Like,
Yeah, but back to what like the whole Iowa thing. It's like that's one thing that pisses me off so much about so many Hawkeye fans is because of the fact that look what Iowa State did. Look at them. They went and got themselves the head coach from the Toledo fucking Rockets. They went and got Matt Campbell.
They seen a
He
team.
completely turned that program around,
Yep.
changed the culture. He instilled a better culture in the program, and now we are starting to see more and more of the fruits of or the fruits of the
His
whatever the
labors in
hell.
particular, the change in the
Yeah.
culture. We've been talking about it literally, quite literally, this whole podcast. The games, number one, that Iowa State played this year, the games that they could win, how good that team could be. We've been talking about it all podcasts. Like I said, we are
Hmm.
not Iowa fans in any capacity, but we are not biased, and we are calling it how we see it. Iowa State could very well be a good team this year. They
It
changed
very
the
well could
culture.
be.
They've done it on multiple levels. Their basketball team's always been they've basically brought their basketball culture to their football. They're trying to instill a winning mentality, and they've been trying their ass off to fix what they've been doing. So props to Iowa State for actually making improvements. Props to Iowa State for actually bringing back their team. Props to Iowa State for potentially having a good team this year. I said we just got to watch the season unfold and really know what we got.
Right. And like that's what I'm like thinking about here is because like Iowa fans gave so much shit to Iowa State for changing their coach. And look what Matt Campbell's been doing. He changed the culture in that program. But then you bring that up, and then Iowa fans are going to be like, well, it's the Hawkeye way. Look what Kirk
So
Ferentz has done with
yeah,
the Hawkeyes 30 fucking years ago.
I'm going to compare this to a situation that just currently happened in the NFL, and it involves one Bill Belichick. Yes, that man's track record is better than 90% of those who are currently coaching, regardless of what level of it that you're coaching at.
Right.
Championships in general. That man's has a track record, but even the Patriots know you got to change. You had to change something. Something had to
Right.
change. They gave that man two more seasons after Brady left, and they're like, no, yeah, no, we got to move on. We got to do something different. Hawkeye fans are going to hate me. I'm sorry. I'm calling. This is a unbiased opinion. The only way your franchise, your team, your college team is going to truly make that transition and truly like make that new, evolve the culture in a way that'll make your team better. Yes, they are ranked this year, but it doesn't mean they'll be ranked at the end of the year. Ch-
Exactly.
coaching changes, coaching changes, and whether that's offensive linemen coaches or offensive coaches or
Well, we just lost him. I, he must have hit a button. Smooth, Dakota. Smooth. You're going to want to get back in or no? Did your phone die? What happened? All right. Well, but anyways. Oh, there he is.
my bad. Yeah, it
Smooth.
booted me. We've our episode's been going for a while, but as I was saying, I was literally in the middle of talking. I just think Iowa could use a coaching change, and it's not always for the worst. Like I said, it could be anywhere along the coaching staff,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be just something that adds either a little more pep in that step, or it adds another layer to the offense that wasn't there previous. And it could also be recruiting. Maybe just they're having a hard time. They're whiffing on recruits because people see what's happened. It's just like it's become somewhat of a very successful mom and pop shop almost.
Exactly. And that's exactly how this feels with Iowa because, I mean, real quick, like we've already been going on this for 2 hours now.
Yes, sir.
So I want to uh, kind of end this real quick with with what I'm going to say, and then let you have something to say real quick. Uh, so real quick, the thing that pisses me off about Iowa fans, not Steve. Steve is not part of this conversation at all.
Yeah, this not
He is
Steve
not
is
this
not
way at
included.
all. But I've got friends that are this way. I've seen random people talking Facebook this way. They have such a hard on for Kirk Ferentz because of what he's done for Hawkeye football. He's put them on the map. What he's done is great for Iowa football. Yes. What has he done for you lately? Career wise, if you look at it, even with the 12-0 season a couple years ago before you got your dicks punched in by Stanford,
Yeah, I was about to say, let's not forget about the Christian McCaffrey effect because
before losing to
that was
Michigan State, and
disgusting.
then getting the Rose Bowl, and then getting your dicks punched in by Stanford, Kirk Ferentz's career record overall is about 500, just barely above 500. Iowa fans give shit to Iowa State fans all the time because of Matt Campbell. Why? Because Iowa State consistently finishes 7-5, 8-4, about 500.
Yes. So, with that
But the
being
big
said,
thing, but like the big thing about it is the fact that it's the pot calling the kettle black. The big thing is Iowa has had this culture. They had it with Hayden Fry. They got it back with Kirk Ferentz. Kirk Ferentz instilled this into the program. He built this program to be what it is.
500 is successful. Browns fans
Right,
would Browns fans would agree.
right. And that's also one thing too. We are Badger fans. What happened 2 years ago? We fired our head coach in the middle of the season.
Yes, sir. And why
Why?
is that? I was just
Because
saying, why is
our
that?
season was not going the well it or going as well as it should have. We were looking at falling apart. So we got rid of the problem. Why? We are sick and tired of mediocrity. We went and get Luke Fickle.
We went to the
He,
fucking source. That's when we did.
he goes and brings in a new offensive philosophy instead of the pro style offense that has so dominated Wisconsin and Iowa football and the Big Ten for decades.
I
We
mean,
go get
and
Luke
this is
Fickle.
off the record. I mean, on the record, this is also a thing that still currently dominates SEC. So for those people who don't know, it's a thing that's pro style offenses vary college. So
Well, not anymore.
well, then
Like,
well, let's be thankful for that because now we're really going to see what these the prospects that come out in the draft. We're going to see what their real talents are because now teams have to apply these players based off their talents, not what their offense was built around.
because like
You
because like
know
we're
for
starting to
sure
look
what you're
at
getting.
right because we're starting to see more and more programs go to the spread offense. You got to spread things out to go downfield.
You got to
Whereas
be able to run and pass. The whole running gun thing. You got to be able to move the ball downfield. If you're not getting at least 8, 9 yards of play, like they really don't care. They want that 9, 10, 11, 12. They want the big chunk yards. They want to be able to get down the field as quickly as possible.
right, and that's the thing that Wisconsin went and did because they were starting to see. Look at the NFL. Every single NFL team spread offense.
Yep.
The Packers anymore play more out
Jordan
of the
Love.
gun than anything.
Jordan Love is a great example.
Every NFL, even the Minnesota Vikings,
Yes, sir.
they had Adrian fucking Peterson for how long, and they ruined that team because they rode on his back the entire time, and then they turn around and bring in uh shit Dalvin Cook,
Yep.
rode his back, and then
Look
they
at
bring
look at
this.
Dalvin Cook now. He's struggling to land in any location
He's a nobody now. Why?
because he's got
Because
nothing left on the
teams are
tread.
trying to do more with passing the ball to open up the run game. It's a spread offense anymore. It's a spread game. So that's what Wisconsin went and did with Luke Fickle. They got Luke Fickle, who opened up the spread offense big time in Cincinnati and was extremely successful with it. What happened when Wisconsin went and got Luke Fickle? Iowa fans gave us shit.
Well, that's okay
Why?
because
Because we were sick and tired of sitting around with mediocrity, so they gave us shit.
what we
Meanwhile,
did
their
this
head coach
offseason.
is mediocre as fuck
Yep.
because the entire program is mediocre. The only thing about Iowa football is the fact that Iowa football is defense.
Yes.
There isn't a single Iowa player on offense outside of a tight end that is successful in the NFL.
I was gonna
Period.
say it's a tight end factory, 100%. It's
Yeah.
also I'll tell you what we did in terms of the Badgers. We've done nothing but try to we're trying to unlock potential. We're trying to get better. We're trying to see what works. And we've shown the initiative that if it doesn't fucking work, then we're gonna do the best we can to fucking fix it.
Hmm.
Which is a rarity in sports in general because a lot of people are like, well, we've gotten this far with this. Maybe if we add this player, it's not going. Sometimes it's not the players. In fact, more often than not, it's not the players. It's the coaching system, the staff that you've got in place, the philosophy that you're running, the just the overall mindset.
Right.
Like 20 plus years of watching sports overall, it's just kind of mind numbing to me that people haven't picked up on this sooner, you know, especially those coaches or those franchises or organizations or colleges that don't understand that certain coaching staffs or certain coaching stains changes could very well like be cataclysmic in terms of how much success your franchise or team has.
Right.
It's all
All
about
right.
personnel, man, and it's all about happiness too. I would like to also go on the record to say this is for those Wisconsin Badgers fans. I'd like to point out the fact that we did get 11 four-star recruits this recruiting season. And
Which
that
seems
is
like a record from the way things have been the last 30 years.
yes, and to me that's tremendous. And it's all across the board. So I mean, one of those were a QB. So I mean, maybe not this year, but hey, maybe next year, the year after, we could be seeing some shit, man. And me
And
being
not to
A
mention
Wisconsin fan,
we got Tyler Van Dyke coming in at quarterback. Thank you.
yeah, he transferred out of Miami, didn't he?
Yep.
There we go. I'm assuming this will be like a one and done year. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna assume because he's probably close to being ready for the draft. I'm assuming he's declaring because I see his name pop up trillion of fucking one time. So there's I have high hopes for him. I'm hoping that he fits seamlessly into the offense, and I'm hoping that the coach knows what he's doing here.
I just hope our offense looks a lot better than it did last year because if it did, we very well could be looking at a very fun season this year. But
And I
time
think
will
if
tell.
for and that and that's saying a lot because for me a fun season would be to see us ranked regardless of where it is. If
Well,
we can go from unranked and break into the 25, shit, even the top 20, top 15,
I mean, Wisconsin can't be that far off the top 25. There's,
we're not we're definitely
I
within the
think we're
top 30,
probably,
top 30, top
yeah.
40 easily. So I mean, like I said, we
But
get
like
off
for
to a hot
me, I
start.
mean,
We can start rolling off some wins. Maybe we can go over the schedule here on one of these next couple episodes or whatever. But we have time. We have time, man. And this college football season is gonna be fun. We're gonna have a lot to talk about. We're gonna have even more fun talking about the NFL because I know you have some opinions as well as I do. I want to hear what Steve has to say. I want to hear. I just want to hear overall everybody's prediction, man. It's just gonna be fun.
oh God, yeah. And we'll definitely get into that next week as we have week one of the NFL season next weekend. Uh, what I believe opening kickoff for the NFL is Wednesday, and then the Packers Wednesday or Thursday.
I think it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. No, it's Thursday. You're right. Good.
Yeah, Thursday. Got the Chiefs kicking off Thursday, and the Packers Eagles on Friday from Brazil, which is freaking stupid. But whatever. Thanks a lot, NFL. Let's put two teams that are wearing green into a stadium to where you can't wear green because of Jesus Christ, soccer hooligans that don't like the color green because it's their rival team. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and for those listening, and God knows, like soccer's fandom, the difference between American soccer and English, Brazilian, wherever, like worldwide football, it's insane. I've said it a million and one times. If between baseball, between football, all of our top sports here in the United States, if we had any of those, if any of those had diehard fans the way our international soccer does, it wouldn't even be a conversation. The NFL would be the biggest sport in the world, bar none.
Mm-hmm.
But we I mean, like, and I think the reason for the international games is to try to branch out, maybe try to get more of an international schedule, maybe more for fans and less more for the. I mean, it's a money grab, of course, because who the fuck doesn't want to make money, you know?
It's always a money grab.
But from a fan's perspective, maybe there are a fuck ton of fans in Brazil that would fucking absolutely die to watch NFL, you know? And
Oh, you know they're
they're getting lucky. They're getting the one game.
good. Yep. Got
Shout out to
two.
London. I hope they get a football team soon.
Oh God, yeah. I would love to see a team in London, but at the same time,
Let's be realistic, because
I would hate to see a
Jacksonville
football
is
player do
that.
that.
Jacksonville is that, because that is their second home. They don't have very many other, like, if there's any one team from America that could claim London has its home, it's Jacksonville, the Jaguars. So
Yeah.
we need more international stuff, man. Honestly, I can get another team in Canada for the not the NFL, but the NBA. Shit, a team from Canada in the NFL would be pretty crazy.
I'd be okay with it.
Um,
I mean, they already play American style football with some crazy ass freaking rules, but
yeah. See, and that's why I think like our NFL would be perfect for them, because they already play our sport just with those minor, you know. And
hmm
it, I've watched quite a few of those games, and they're not bad. They're not. It's not a bad thing to watch. It's literally like watching an actual football game. So
it's just the rules are very difficult to get a grasp on. Because
you
like
know,
I watched these highlights last night of this. Can't remember who the game was between, but it was a tie game, 21 all, and the team was setting up for a game-winning field goal. They missed it wide left. Everybody celebrated like they won the Super Bowl, and I'm like, you missed the kick. Why are you celebrating? And then the commentators are like, he misses wide left, but it doesn't matter. They get the 1 point. I'm like, the fuck?
there's a one
You get a
point.
you get a point for missing a field goal? Shit.
See, there you go. If you get those, then they've got to have this rule where you're like, if you hit the field goal, it's like a three, right?
Yeah.
Or like it's two. Like
Yeah.
they're
If you
taking
nail the field goal,
basketball.
it's three. If you bang it through between the uprights like normal football, it's three. And I guess if like you kick it and you or if you miss it and it goes out of the end zone or some shit, it's like 1 point.
See, now if they were to switch that to a two, right? That outside the thing, if they were to switch that to a two, and then they switch the uprights down the middle to a three, they're literally applying NBA rules to football. Yeah,
See,
three
for
point line,
me,
the whole fucking 9 yards.
I personally would much rather like to see uh, arena football style rules, like uh, like how
I
they
would
do in
love
the
to see arena
football
style
league.
football rules, but like on a bigger field.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying here. Like with like bring the kicking aspect or like the points for field goals and stuff into the NFL. But in all honesty, we should probably save that for the next episode because we got NFL talk next.
Yes, sir. Boot you out.
Yeah, I went to grab my mouse. At the stream, I got wanting to eat some popcorn and stuff, so I'm gonna go watch a movie with my kid and eat popcorn, or just watch
Uh,
football because Hawaii should be kicking off here in a little bit.
I was say we should be getting some in-game action here shortly.
Yeah, Hawaii's kicking off here in about 20 minutes. But anyways,
So I
so
think
yeah,
we, as I say, if you want to call it good,
yeah, we've been at this for 2 hours and 15 minutes as of now. So let's
it's a
call
good
this
start.
good.
It was a great
And
start. Great topic of conversation. We got a lot of meat and potatoes in there. We really hit the nail on the head with pretty much all of our subjects. Literally, it's just a matter of coming up with some more shit later on.
yep. So
All right.
if you are listening, we will chat at you next week and see you then.
All righty.